The rain crashed against the marble steps as Emily stood outside the mansion with a single suitcase in her hand. Her husband, Daniel Carter, stared at her with cold eyes that no longer held even a trace of love. "I've had enough," he said. "You're poor, you embarrass me, and you'll never fit into my world." Emily looked at the man she had sacrificed everything for. She had worked 2 jobs while Daniel built his business. She had sold the last gift her late mother gave her to help him pay his debts. Yet now that he was wealthy, he acted as though she had never mattered. Without saying a word, Emily removed her wedding ring and gently placed it on the front porch. "I hope money gives you everything you think love couldn't," she whispered before walking into the storm. Daniel smirked and shut the door. He had no idea it was the biggest mistake of his life. 3 days later, halfway across the world, 86-year-old business legend Alexander Sterling, the mysterious founder of a $3 trillion global empire, passed away peacefully. Every major news channel covered the shocking event. Investors panicked because Alexander had never introduced an heir. When the lawyers opened his final will, the room fell silent. His entire fortune, every company, every private island, every jet, every skyscraper, would belong to his only granddaughter, Emily Carter. No one had ever known Alexander had a daughter decades earlier. Family conflicts had separated them, and after tragedy struck, Emily had grown up in poverty without ever knowing her real grandfather. Within hours, the news spread around the world. Daniel nearly dropped his phone when Emily's face appeared on every television screen. The world's newest trillionaire. He stared in disbelief. It can't be her. Meanwhile, Emily stepped off a private jet in Switzerland. Luxury cars waited for her. Hundreds of executives stood in perfect lines. The chairman bowed respectfully. "Welcome home, Miss Sterling." Emily still couldn't believe it herself. She had never wanted wealth. She only wanted honesty and love. Over the following months, she quietly learned how to manage the enormous business empire. Unlike many wealthy heirs, she visited factories, spoke with employees, and listened to cleaners, drivers, and security guards before speaking with executives. People quickly realized something. The new owner had a kind heart. Employees who had struggled for years suddenly received better salaries and health care. Scholarship programs were created for poor students. Children's hospitals were built in countries where families couldn't afford treatment. For the first time in years, the Sterling Group became admired not just for its wealth but for its humanity. Back in New York, Daniel's company began collapsing. His biggest investors unexpectedly pulled out. Banks refused to extend new loans. One morning, he received an invitation to negotiate with the Sterling Group. This could save everything, he thought. Dressed in his finest suit, Daniel entered the company's breathtaking headquarters. As the boardroom doors slowly opened, his heart stopped. At the head of the table sat Emily. Elegant, confident, calm. She wasn't wearing expensive jewelry to impress anyone. She didn't need to. Power spoke louder than diamonds. Daniel froze. "Emily." She smiled politely. "Mr. Carter. Please, have a seat." Every executive watched silently. Daniel tried to explain. "I made a terrible mistake. I was under pressure." Emily gently interrupted. "No. You made a choice." The room became painfully quiet. "You didn't leave me because I was poor," Emily continued. "You left because you believed money mattered more than loyalty." Daniel lowered his head. "I still love you." Emily looked at him for several seconds before speaking. "If you truly loved me, you would have loved me when I had nothing." Those words pierced deeper than any insult. Daniel begged for another chance. "I'll change." Emily nodded softly. "I hope you do." He looked hopeful. Then she continued. But not for me. She stood and walked toward the massive glass windows overlooking the city. When you threw me out that night, I lost my husband. She turned around. But I found myself. Every executive remained silent. Emily signed one document. The Sterling Group has decided not to acquire your company. Daniel's face turned pale. Instead, she added another sentence. We'll be hiring every employee you have to lay off because of your bankruptcy. They deserve better leadership. The board members immediately approved the decision. Daniel realized something painful. Emily wasn't taking revenge. She was protecting innocent people. Months later, Daniel's company officially declared bankruptcy. He sold his mansion. His luxury cars disappeared. Friends who once admired him stopped answering his calls. The people attracted by his money vanished just as quickly as they had arrived. One afternoon, while walking through a public park wearing simple clothes, Daniel saw Emily sitting alone on a bench. There were no bodyguards nearby. She was feeding birds and smiling at children playing nearby. He slowly approached. I lost everything. Emily looked at him kindly. No. He looked confused. You lost everything the day you chose pride over love. Daniel couldn't respond. For the first time in years, he truly understood. Money had never destroyed his marriage. His arrogance had. Emily stood. I don't hate you anymore. Those words surprised him. Hate keeps people trapped in the past. I chose peace. She walked toward her waiting car. Before entering, she looked back one last time. I sincerely hope one day you become the man I believed you were. Then she left forever. Daniel watched until the car disappeared into the distance. Years later, Emily became known as one of the most generous business leaders in history. Millions of families escaped poverty through her charities. Thousands of children received education because she believed kindness created the greatest legacy. She had inherited unimaginable wealth. But the greatest treasure she possessed wasn't the fortune. It was the strength to forgive, the courage to move forward, and the wisdom to remember that true riches are measured not by what we own, but by how we treat the people who stand beside us when we have nothing. The end.